2. Mortis ex machina. On his rush out of the courtroom in search of the nearest camera, Scrbacek ran smack into Thomas Serwin. The prosecutor's expression was understandably darker and more pinched than usual. "I hope you're proud of your fine work in there," said Serwin. "Very." "Take my advice, Scrbacek, and watch your ass." "Oh, I will," said Scrbacek with a wink. "On the evening news." The lovely glow of Casino Land was just infiltrating the darkening sky to the east when J.D. Scrbacek stood on the courthouse steps with the cameras on and the heavy white lights picking up his rugged features. His tie was tight. The collar of his raincoat was turned rakishly up. His intern had already been dispatched to drive the Explorer from the parking lot behind the courthouse to the front steps, so as to provide the cameras a view of Scrbacek's dramatic exit with his client. All was as it should have been, except that his client wasn't by his side. Serwin had unexpectedly kept Caleb Breest locked up one more night, pending a probation revocation hearing scheduled for the next morning. But still the scene was as near perfect as Scrbacek could have wished when he began to crow to the crowd of reporters. The jury's verdict wasn't just a victory for Mr. Breest. It was a victory for us all. This was a case without motive or evidence, a case that never should have been brought, a case hatched in the mind of First Assistant County Prosecutor Thomas Sauerwein, simply because he doesn't like my client. Well, I'm not sure I like my client either, but if that's enough to put a man in jail and kill him dead, then we all have much to fear. He gave good press, Scrbacek, especially on the courthouse steps after a high-profile win. Now that Mr. Breest has been found innocent of Mr. Malloy's murder, I hope the police redouble their efforts to find exactly who committed this horrible crime. My sympathies and the sympathies of Mr. Breest remain, as they have all through this ordeal, with the Malloy family. Nothing that happened in this courtroom can disguise the fact that a man is dead and his murderer still at large. There might be celebrating tonight by Mr. Breest's friends and associates. There might be fireworks in the night sky over this fine city. But our thoughts will also be with the brave. A loud pop, followed by a deafening explosion from behind the courthouse. The crowd ducked. Some reporters dived to the ground. Others threw their arms over their heads as if mortars were incoming. Scrbacek alone remained standing tall, his anger rising at the goons who had started the celebration before he had finished his speechifying. He raised his voice and began again. "As I was saying, there may be fireworks in the night sky over this fine city, but our—" It was no good. The cameras were off him now. The reporters were running in a pack down the steps, circling the building. TV crews lugged their equipment, straining to keep up. There were calls, yelps, the poundings of hard-soled shoes on cement. "What I'm trying to say," Scrbacek shouted to the retreating backs of the media, "what is important to remember," but no one anymore was listening. Standing alone on the steps of the courthouse, Scrbacek cocked his head at the commotion before following the mob down the steps. People were now running away from the explosion, running madly, with terror etched on their faces as they passed the reporters. The two groups were shouting back and forth, the reporters heading to the rear of the courthouse and the sane civilians running away. "What was it?" "A car, I think." "A car? I think. Oh, God, it's a mess." "Whose car?" "Who knows?" "How?" "I don't know." Scrbacek stopped and looked up and down the street. He was searching for his Explorer, high and shiny black, with chrome enough to blind on a sunny day, wondering what was keeping his intern. There was another explosion, soft, muffled, along with a crescendo of shouts. Scrbacek turned. Behind the courthouse, the glow of a great spitting bonfire broke through the twilight, and from out of that glow, thick black smoke rose in tortuous billows, even as a horrible thought began to rise within him. Scrbacek spun around and again searched up and down the street, looking for his SUV, his head twisting ever more desperately. He pulled his phone out of his raincoat pocket and pressed